Imagine a nation rich in resources, but where the majority of its people live in poverty, where the original inhabitants are systematically excluded from the wealth that lies beneath their feet. The EFF, with fire in its heart, is driven by a singular mission: to break these chains. But do Black South Africans truly realize the power they hold? Welcome to Inkari. It's time, where we dig deep into the pressing issues shaping our society. I'm Kondos, your host, and today we are unpacking the driving force behind the economic freedom fighters, a party that has taken a stand against the systemic injustices still plaguing Black South Africans, from black poverty to economic servitude, from unemployment to exclusion from the wealth of this land. The EFF is not just a political party, it's a movement against these very realities. But here's the big question: do black people in this country truly know that South Africa, with all its wealth, belongs to them?
You know, Chief, the traditional leadership historically were the first people to voluntarily take their children who were supposed to succeed them to white schools, to take them through white education. And that's the history. Some of the most educated people in our country are traditional leadership. I respect the question of traditional leadership. It's not essential to Africa. There's traditional leadership in Europe. But we must understand that to liberate South Africa is not about traditional leadership and traditional values. It's about liberating the means of the people to run their own lives. Until mines, the natural resources are able to work for all of us, this order, whatever order we put, is not going to be sustainable. So I can't respect the role that you play in government because you're a part of the cabinet of President Jacob Zuma. It presides over neoliberalism. It presides over the most super exploitative system that all of us expected to change our lives. And I think it's afraid of white monopoly capitalism. It has colluded in most cases with white monopoly capitalism. It's not doing anything, at least in as far as the selfless, life-threatening struggle that you all said you went to the struggle to do. There is nothing that is showing that in your government. You're supposed to be in determinate ways, very determined, step into the economy, protect our people from multinational super exploitation. You're not doing that. The Marikana Commission is one example. The Marikana Massacre is one example that says, show me an instance where you stood on the side of the people, raised their wages into minimum living wages. Until they're able to have these resources, they are not free, and they have no grounds to respect anybody that does not give them life. If you don't give them life and their capacity to run their lives, they have no grounds to respect us. So that's why the EFF speaks of revolution. It speaks that we are not going to respect unjust laws. A law shouldn't be respected just because it's a law. It must be able to be based on the protection, the production of life, the ability to empower all of us to run our own lives, particularly economically. So you have in your government, Booty, there's nothing that shows that there is the Freedom Charter program. If you can show it to me, maybe I will start thinking that you have the best interest of the people, a vision of the liberation struggle. You don't. That's why you're going to get challenged from those benches that you are describing from the EFF. Until the economy of South Africa comes back to the people, you'll still get a challenge from the EFF in Parliament. Live with it.
Let's start with black poverty. For centuries, the majority of South Africans have been kept on the fringes of the economy. Despite being rich in natural resources, many black South Africans live in poverty. The EFF sees this as a deliberate outcome of historical injustices and current economic structures that favor a select few. Their mission: to eradicate poverty by redistributing wealth and creating opportunities for the marginalized. Economic servitude is another injustice that the EFF despises. Is the idea that despite the end of formal apartheid, economic control remains in the hands of a minority, and the majority are left to serve. The EFF stance is clear: Black South Africans must be empowered to own, control, and benefit from their own resources, breaking the chains of economic servitude. Unemployment, particularly among black youth, is a crisis. The EFF view this as a direct result of economic policies that have failed to address the needs of the majority. They argue that the current economic system is designed to keep black people out of a meaningful employment. The EFF's fight is for a restructured economy where black South Africans have access to jobs that provide dignity, stability, and growth. The EFF is also vehemently against the lack of development within black communities. Whether it's access to quality education, health care, or infrastructure, the disparities are glaring. The EFF calls for a focus on developing these communities, not as a favor, but as a right. Their goal is to ensure that every black person in South Africa has the opportunity to thrive. Economic segregation and the exclusion of the natives from the country's wealth are perhaps the most damning indictments of the current system. The EFF stands against an economy that continues to segregate and marginalize. They push for a radical transformation where black South Africans, the true owners of this land, are at the center of economic activity. The message is clear. This land and its wealth belong to the people who have been excluded for far too long.
Mandela went to prison for the land. Robert Sobukwe was killed for the land. Steve Biko was killed for the land. Krisani was killed for the land. Solomon Matlangu was killed for the land. And therefore, there is no freedom without the return of the ownership of the land.
But the EFF isn't alone in this fight. The MK party, led by former President Jacob Zuma, is also battling for the same cause, fighting against the systemic exclusion of black South Africans and advocating for the rightful place in the economy. The potential unity between the EFF and MK party could be a game changer in this struggle. This is not just a theoretical alliance, it's becoming a reality as key figures like Floyd Shivambu and Mzwanele Manyi have made the move to the MK party. Together, these two movements have the power to bring about the transformation that black South Africans have long been denied. United, they can achieve these goals with greater ease and impact.
I've decided not to renew the membership of the EFF because I will join and participate in Umkhonto Wesizwe party.
Indeed, I think they are correct. Me and President Zuma, we died together. I think I'm here to assist His Excellency President Zuma to complete his mission. He was disrupted from a very good job that was doing in government. When he started to take over in government, he found South Africa with dying people. You know, every weekend we're burying people because of HIV and AIDS, because of the posture of the previous administration to treat this thing. President Zuma came, we got the rollout program of what's it called this thing, of these ARVs, and before you know, the country's rate of living was actually improved. Built hospitals, built spaghetti, highways, everything. You know, I mean, for somebody without formal education to prioritize building of universities was no mean feat. Mm-hmm. So you can see that we've got a person with a vision. This is a person that started even the Black Industrialist program in the country. A lot of my friends that I speak to today, they say to me they are who they are because of the Zuma era, the opportunities that were there. People had firms and all of that. Even SMEs were alive during the Zuma era. So we are here now to make sure that we resuscitate that and we get South Africa back on.
The EFF's passion against these injustices is rooted in a simple but powerful belief that black South Africans are the rightful owners of this country and its wealth. But ownership is not just about land or resources. It's about the power to shape one's own destiny. With the unity of the EFF and MK party, the path to reclaiming what is rightful theirs becomes clearer. The EFF is calling for a revolution of the mind, urging the black South Africans to recognize their power and claim what is rightful theirs.
Unemployment ukukhulunywa ngendlela emnyama. Akekho omunye ukukhulunywa ngayo. Makukhulunywa ngabantu abahlala emkhukhwini yithi. Akekho olunye uhlobo ohlala emkhukhwini. Masikhuluma ngomuntu ohlala noma imaphi lapho kuthiwa kusemakhaya khona. Uyaphoqeleka ukuthi uma ufuna umsebenzi ahamba ekude. Ungasuka kwelakini enkandla noma kumaphi uye eGoli. Ufika uhola imali encane. Bese kufanele uzondla ulapha eGoli. Uphinde futhi uondle nabantwana lapha eGoli. Ngoba mase uhleli lapha awazi ukuhlala wedwa. Ebese futhi ukuphinde uyokondla ekhaya.
If this message resonates with you, join the conversation in the comments below. Share this video, spread the word, and let's ensure that every black South African knows their true worth. It's time to rise. It's time to reclaim. It's time for justice. Inkari, it's time.